Welcome to Sausage on a Fork, a podcast dedicated to the UK's longest running children's drama programme, Grange Hill. My name's Neil, and in each episode I'll interview a former cast member about their life before, during and after their time on the programme. Okay, welcome to the next episode of Sausage on a Fork. It's something of a first for us for this episode, as it's the first teacher that I'm going to be interviewing, and I'm very pleased to say that I've been joined by Aran Bell, who played Mr. Phil Scott. Aran, welcome to Sausage on a Fork.
Hi Neil, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Yeah, good. Thanks.
Excellent. As I said, thank you for coming on and giving us your thoughts and your experiences of being on Grange Hill. But if we just jump right back to the start, Aran, how did you get into acting? How did that come about?
I left school at 16. I thought about it a little bit when I was a kid, but to be honest, I didn't really have any idea what to do.
Right.
So I left school at 16. I did a lot of dead end jobs and I did a lot of traveling. I went around Europe when I was 16 on my own on that Interrail thing. Uh-huh. And then I did all sorts of jobs. I worked in restaurants, in giving out things at Laura Ashley, wallpaper samples.
Right.
I worked in an off-license odd bins. I did a bit of labouring. I did all sorts, selling art door to door.
Right.
Did all these things. I did it for a little bit to save up money, and then I'd go travelling because I wanted to get away and just see the world a bit. Uh-huh. I wasn't particularly academic. Right. My parents were actors. My auntie was an actress. My uncle was an actor. My other auntie was a dancer. The other one joined the circus.
Right.
So they were all a bit sort of that way inclined.
Yeah.
My dad was quite a well-known actor. He was called Tom Bell.
Right.
From Liverpool, actually. So when I was 19, I went to drama school at a place called the Drama Centre in London, which was a very good drama school. It still is. A lot of famous people have been there. Not me, but a lot of famous people have been there. And I went to drama school for 3 years. And when I came out, my first job was the back end of a cow in Oldham Rep.
Excellent, right?
In Lancashire. That's where I got my bad back from, doing that 12 shows a week.
Right.
And I worked on some nice TV stuff, Monocle Mutineer, which was a big show at the time. Did some theatre. As I said, I started off in repertory theatre. Coliseum in Oldham, and I did tours and stuff like that. And then I got an interview for Grange Hill, and I went along to BBC TV Centre. Uh-huh. I met Phil Redmond, and I think Ron was there as well, Ron Smedley, lovely man, who I'll talk about a bit later if I may.
Yeah, no worries.
And I went up for it, didn't think much about it. You just go up for stuff, you know. But it was a nice job to go up for, because it was, TV and sort of quite a long, for actors anyway, quite a long gig. You know, it was a few episodes. So I did the audition, waited a couple of days, and then I found out I'd got it, and I was really, really pleased.
Brilliant.
And, so I started there. It was in Elstree then, Boreham Wood.
Yeah.
They used the BBC buildings there for the school, and luckily, talking about Ron Smedley, I found out that because I was living in Hampton then with my girlfriend. We hadn't quite got married then.
Yeah.
We were living in Hampton, and Ron Smedley lived about 2 minutes round the corner.
Right.
Really coincidentally.
Yeah.
So being cheeky so-and-so that I am, I said, "Oh, can I get a lift when I'm going in?" And he very kindly said yes. So I used to have long trips with him, long drives, all the way from Hampton in southwest London to Elstree, which was north. It was like an hour's drive. So we just had. I mean, I didn't know how much of a legend he was then, but he was such a dear man.
Yeah.
He was so lovely. One, because he probably helped me get the job, but but also he was just lovely to talk to, a really gentle, lovely man, and you could tell that he loved all the kids there, and he had all their best interests at heart, you know.
Yeah. So were you aware of Grange Hill at the time when you went for the audition?
Oh yeah,
Right.
I was aware of it, but I was a bit older, you see. I wasn't
Yeah.
sort of watching it. I was 20, 25, 26,
Right.
something like that then. So
Yeah.
be a bit odd if I was watching that every day.
Yeah.
No, I knew it was very popular, and I watched it sometimes. Yeah, if it was
Yeah.
on, you know, and I thought it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. I mean, because you came sort of, I think it was series 10, around about 86, 87, and obviously it had been around, and it had caused quite a stir already. And you came in as Mr. Phil Scott.
Selena.
Selena. Quite a nervous teacher.
He was
the science teacher, but he was also the form tutor of E3. And for any Grange Hill fans who were listening, E3 was full of big characters.
Trouble.
Big trouble, yeah. Big characters in there, and obviously there was trouble with the likes of Imelda from the start.
Oh, don't say that name. Don't say that name.
For you,
I come out in hives.
For you as an adult, what was it like joining the show when it was so successful already?
It was great fun. I had such a, you know what, I hung around more with the kids than I did with the older actors, really. I was nearer in age to the kids than I was to a lot of the teachers.
Right, yeah.
And I've always been very juvenile anyway. And so I sort of got on a bit more with the kids because they were just, we had a real good laugh. I mean, I was taking the mickey out of them, and they were cheeky little what's-its too, you know.
Yeah.
Especially George and John and Trevor and John, who played Trevor. And they were very funny. I mean, John with the red hair. I can't remember his second name now. Sorry.
So there was John Drummond and John McMahon.
Yeah. Those two were very funny.
Yeah.
John McMahon was very cheeky, and he was a right little character.
Yeah.
And George was very funny. So I hung around with them a lot, and the girls were smashing.
Yeah.
They were really sweet, and I tried to help them, but they didn't need any help from me. They've been doing it for ages, you know.
Yeah.
And I find that with kids, because I work with kids sometimes teaching them drama, and I find that I couldn't work with that age. I promise you, I don't work with them that age. That would give me I'd have a breakdown. Like I'd be like Phil Scott. But I work with younger kids up to the age of 11 sometimes, and you find that kids are great actors, and because they're less self-conscious.
Yeah.
And they can really believe in what they're doing. They don't feel, oh, I don't want to do that, and they don't worry about the peer pressure as much, what their mates will think. They're just much more natural. They're natural actors, kids.
Yeah.
And these kids were really good actors, you know. They were really good. They taught me a few tricks, how to be very natural. And you know, I don't know how many of them had been to drama school. Some had, some hadn't, but they were all top-notch kids, and great, lovely kids too. And they made me feel welcome, and I had a blast. I had one of the best times of my life doing that show, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that how good the actors were, and you mentioned George there. I was talking to Ricky Simmons a few weeks ago about it, and
he's a lovely lad too. Lad too. They all were. If I don't mention them all, they were all lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. I said to Ricky that I'd read somewhere in an interview. The thing with George was he was really professional. He'd learn all his lines, and in rehearsals he'd be great. But when it came to filming, he'd start improvising and ad-libbing and do all kinds. Like, I don't know if
he kept it fresh. He kept it fresh and natural.
Yeah.
It takes some cojones to do that. You've got to be on top of the lines to be able to improvise. You know.
Yeah.
You've got to know what the scene is about. You've got to have done your homework. Yeah.
So, was there anyone on the show who you were really, really close with, or anything like that?
Probably George, actually. Yeah.
Right.
we hung out a little bit because my dad was from Liverpool, and I think
Yeah.
he came to see my dad a couple of times in London, and he was probably the one I hung around with a bit. It's not like I hung around with them. I'm not. That sounds weird, doesn't it? But I was 26. I had a kid. I had a little baby at home, so I did have a life. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, probably. But yeah, I like them all, and we all had a good chat when we were working. But I think a couple of times I went with George to see my dad. I don't think I don't think I socialized. I didn't socialize with them because I was a lot older.
Yeah.
But we did socialize a bit when we went on the canal trip.
Yeah.
Because we were all out of London, and that was fun.
Yeah. So when you joined the show, there was a little bit of a shift as well regarding the teachers. That in the past, the teachers had just sort of been like the foil for the kids. That they were just sort of like someone extra in a scene. When you were on the show, there was there'd been a shift towards like scenes in the staff room and just scenes with the staff. Was there anyone who you really enjoyed working with from that point of view?
George Cooper was a lovely man.
Yeah.
He was a smashing actor. I mean, he'd been around. My mum and dad had probably worked with him in the early 60s.
Right.
He'd been around that long, and he'd done a lot of really good stuff. And Nicholas was a lovely man too. They were all lovely. Yeah. They were all lovely. But I think, George, I used to chat with. Jeffrey Cassoon was a lovely guy too. Very good, excellent, brilliant actor.
Yeah.
He was very nice to me. But they were all lovely. They all made me feel welcome and comfortable. And
of course, Michael Shade was there as well at the time, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was lovely.
Everyone always says he was just the complete opposite of Mr. Bronson. He was just, if you wanted the exact opposite, that's exactly what it was. So, like I said earlier on, Mr. Scott was a very nervous teacher. He was a new teacher. And did you do any sort of research into that role, or did you speak to anyone?
I didn't need to.
Anything?
I used my own nerves, I think.
Right. Okay.
Which was lucky in a way. It was there for nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
I remember teachers I had, because I used to be a bit of a smart ass. Excuse my French. I was a bit of a smart ass at school, the class clown. That was me.
Yeah.
So I just sort of remember making their lives a misery. So I tried to imagine what it would be like for me to have the opposite done to me, because oh God, I was terrible. I mean, we used to have a teacher. I don't know if I can say this, but we used to have a teacher who was quite well. Anyway, he was our music teacher, and he used to wear these leather hot pants, believe it or not, and drive this big motorbike. And I used to take the mickey, and all the class were laughing.
Yeah.
Because
right. Okay. See, I've already mentioned, there was some strong characters in that year group. So there was, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say a name. There was Imelda and there was Trevor, and they both seem to have their mind and their heart set on making
my life a misery.
Mr. Scott's life a misery, yeah. And I was reading about this, and I watched a few episodes the other day, and I think people always talk about Grange Hill being like quite groundbreaking and changing the face of television. The fact that Grange Hill was showing Mr. Scott sort of dealing with his mental health issues, because it was really getting to him. And there's one episode where he's almost in tears, just at the kids.
I remember that scene. Actually, I was sort of. That was I thought that they did very well. John did very well, and I got so angry with him.
Yeah.
So I think all the other,
that scene, right? That is.
I nearly chinned him.
Yeah, there was a couple, wasn't there? Because obviously there was the bits with Imelda. What I've noticed about your character, because you were only in it for one series.
Yes.
And it was a 24 episode series, and you were in 21 episodes.
Was I?
Of them, yeah. According to my information, 21 episodes. Now, the likes of Tucker Jenkins and Zamo Maguire, they don't get that many episodes, as 21 out of 24.
I wish they'd repeat. I wish they'd repeat them. I could do with the money.
So I think, you obviously like did quite a lot in those, because you were involved. When Imelda got expelled, you were in. You were right in the middle of that one, and then the main one, like you've just been talking about there, was the bit with Trevor Cleaver. Now, there's bits of that all over the internet. That scene is all over the internet, or YouTube and Twitter. And when you read the comments, everyone says things like, "Who'd be a teacher?" Things like that. they never show things like that on the adverts. But a lot of the comments that I've read are things about how you actually nailed that part, and how you.
Oh, thank you.
The slow walk towards Cleaver, and you can see his attitude changing. For anyone that's listening who doesn't know, there'd been a few things going on. Trevor Cleaver was the big head of the class, shall we say. He was the big man, and as we mentioned, Aran's character, Mr. Scott, was really nervous. He didn't really have control of the class. The kids tend to do what they want, and whenever there was a bit where you'd kind of made a fool of Trevor with dissecting a heart or something, and he'd nearly been sick, and he wasn't happy that he was getting laughed at. So he got everyone in the class to start humming.
That was it, yes.
He got everyone in the class to start humming, and
where's that humming coming from? Yeah.
And in the end, Mr. Scott sort of snaps, and he goes, "Well, what was it like filming that? If you can remember."
I can sort of. It was good. I did feel that we had a good sort of. We didn't have much rehearsal times, because they had to do quite a lot. But we did actually rehearse it, which is quite rare. Usually these days, you don't rehearse anything. It's just 2 takes. You're lucky if you get 2,
Right, yeah.
But then we did actually rehearse it upstairs in the week before or the day before or whenever it was. I can't remember. They did mark out the classroom and where everyone sat and everything. So that was good. And we did rehearse it. But I just remember there was a good sort of, I must have psyched myself up there because I went to drama school and we did all this Stanislavski stuff, right. All the heavy acting stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I must have got into the zone there and got quite concentrated, because even though it was like a kids program, you owe it to the kids, you owe it to yourself to do as good a job as if you were doing it in a movie. Do you know what I mean? Acting's the same for anything. You give it the same amount of respect wherever you do it,
Yeah.
And I did. I worked hard. I worked as hard as I could,
Yeah.
And I do remember there was a nice frisson of energy going on, and he was very good, and all the kids were good, and they were concentrated. They were all in the same. So you need everybody to be being on the same page and being concentrated. So I do remember that, and I remember afterwards. It was like, good, well done, everyone. We did well. It felt good.
I think you can see when you watch that scene, you can see because there's a lot of close-ups of the other kids, and they all look absolutely terrified.
Yeah, they're not looking. Yeah, because I think I might have shocked them a bit with how angry I was, because they'd always seen me before as being very mild-mannered and sort of weak.
Yeah.
But you've got to show a bit of that, and then that gave them like, oh God.
Yeah, I think it's good the way yours and Trevor's characters change in that scene. Obviously, Trevor's been used to being the loudmouth, the big man, got more control of the class than Mr. Scott had. But then,
it's a bit like an old-fashioned Western, wasn't it? It was like the mild-mannered Shane sort of.
And then you see that change, and he's terrified, and he's actually, he's saying to people, who's going to stop him, who's going to help me, and then you grab them, you grab him by the neck and pull the fist back, and it's only someone else shouts. And then
he was like a busted flush then, wasn't
he? Yeah. Now I've
Yeah.
watched it a few times. Obviously, John Drummond is the lad who plays Trevor. As you're walking away, the camera's sort of behind him. I'm convinced he's smiling and laughing. But then as he sits down, he brings his face back as the camera comes back around to him. And I just think even then, for him to get out of that, to get out of the mood of I'm laughing here, but I need to be on it. He sort of, there's just, I don't know what it is. It's just like you can just slightly see. You can just slightly see, and I'm looking at thinking, is he laughing there? But yeah, but like you say, everyone was on it in that episode.
Good.
So there's a few other things about your time there. The talking backwards, because there was an episode where you were talking backwards with some of the lads, and it's the episode where Imelda gets expelled, and it's after that because one of them asks you backwards if you've been expelled. Now I was just wondering, was that something you did, or was that something that they put in the script?
No, that was in the script.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was it? Was it like a code language or something?
Yeah. So you I think you told one of the lads that you were some sort of talking backwards champion when you were at university or something like that. So then one of them had challenged you to.
Okay. I don't remember that. Sorry, it was a long time ago.
No, it's absolutely fine. I just wanted to know if it was your own thing or if they just put that in the script.
No, it wasn't me, Neil. It wasn't me.
Right, okay. And then another thing is, you've mentioned it already, is the barge trip.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Because there's been a few people that I've interviewed so far who were on the barge trip. So Ricky Simmons.
I'm taking the fifth on that.
Fiona Lee Fraser and Lisa York, who I've interviewed, who were all on the barge trip, and they've all just said what an absolute ball.
It was great fun. Yeah, it was great fun.
Yeah, because you were you were heavily involved in those episodes.
Got my guitar out.
Yeah. That was I've got that written down actually. Playing guitar for the sing along. Was that something you'd suggested to go in, or did someone else ask you if you could do that?
I think they asked me, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll give them a Buddy Holly, an old Buddy Holly song."
Yeah, there was a few because those Yellow Submarine comes out, and and a few others. And part of me thinks that you might know this better, but obviously the year before, or when you were filming it in 1986, Grange Hill were in the charts with Just Say No.
It was all the time of that Just Say No. Yeah. It was probably at its zenith then, that show, in a way. Very, very pop. It was like in the news, and they were going to America. It seemed to be in the zeitgeist. Yeah.
Yeah. So part of me wasn't sure if a lot of that sing song was because they were in the charts at the time. You know what I mean? And people had started associating. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think that was just coincidental.
Right. I mean, because they needed something as well for, was it the gas leak, wasn't it? They needed something for Freddie to go off on his own, and there was a gas leak on one of the barges, and I think that maybe it was just to get him separate because Freddie was too cool for all that. He was Ginganguli and all that he was saying about it. So yeah. So and then obviously you were involved with the lads on the barge trip who went off camping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know if you know this, but someone on I was put a thing on YouTube. It's a trailer for the Goonies. Right, so they've got the soundtrack for the trailer from the Goonies, but they've used the clips from the barge trip.
Oh, can you send me that?
Yeah, I can send you that one. That's not a problem. They've done that way, and it's a lad who's on a lot of the Facebook groups, John. And he's done it really, really well.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
It's really good. But yeah, I'll send you the link for that one because everything matches up to what the guy's saying, like with the clip. But I'll send you that one.
Brilliant.
So then, coming towards the end of your time on Grange Hill, and you were still, Mr. Scott's still intent on getting the kids back on his side, and obviously after he'd gone for Trevor, it sort of
changed the balance.
Yeah. And then there was the bit with Trevor got scared by the ghost, and you were the first teacher that he ran into. So obviously you definitely had the upper hand.
Yes.
by that time. And then I think series 10, the finale was the cricket. If I'm
that
right.
was a good day. That was fun.
Yeah. So that's yeah, that was the finale of that. Was there ever any mention of you coming back for Series 11, or did you
Well, to tell you the truth, me in my arrogance thought, oh, I've done it for a year. I'm going to go and do this and do that and be a film star and all that sort of stuff. You have a lot of confidence when you're young. You think things are just going to happen, and maybe I should have stayed on for another year, and another season or whatever. But I've always been a bit like that, sort of. Don't want to outstay my welcome, but you make these decisions, and you either you live by them or you die by them. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think I had some nice jobs after that, and that was that. But it wasn't because I was unhappy or anything. I was just I had a great time there. But I made my decision, and I said, "Thanks very much. I'm going to go now." And I think I could have stayed on. Yeah, I think they wanted me to, but it was just I was I wanted to try something else.
Oh, that's fair enough. I was looking because obviously your CV is actually there's a lot there from what I was looking. Like the likes of
East. Not lately.
Well,
I did a little play a couple of weeks ago, just at the Fringe Theatre, which was fun. It's a difficult old life. It's up and down. You have to take the rough with the smooth, and it's either feast or famine.
Right.
And but I love it, and I'll keep going. And anyone out there, wants an old actor who's still got his hair and teeth, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I mean this in the nicest way possible, Aaron. You're obviously, because I'd watched it in Grange Hill, I'd quite often see you in things, and I'd look and I'd go, "There's that. What was he in?" Because obviously, as I say, you turned up in EastEnders, The Bill, Nuns on the Run. Was one like Inspector Morse and
Monocle Mutiny
with another Scouser, by the way. Soldiers. There was loads, and it was always like, I recognise him. Like, so, Nuns on the Run. What? I mean, that must have been something working with the people on Nuns on the Run. Like, that must have been an experience.
That was a brief. I think that was just a couple of days, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But, I've done the usual stuff. I've done a lot of theatre, actually. I've been in the West End with Val Kilmer.
All right, nice.
Postman Only Rings Twice. That was a nice gig. American play, great play. I've done a lot of number one tours. I've done my Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, Hamlet, Wuthering Heights. Lots of theatre number one tours, as I said. Few fringe plays. Just I'm not fussy. I mean, I'll do theatre, TV, whatever comes along if it's a nice part. So,
just
a jobbing actor,
Yeah. What do you prefer though?
I love theatre, but it's so nerve-wracking, and as you get older, the nerves get tougher.
Okay.
You don't have that confidence you have when you're younger, but then again, you have more control over the performance as well.
Yeah.
And and there's nothing like a live audience when it goes well. You get a real buzz out of it. But I like both disciplines. I like both disciplines.
That's cool. Did you do anything else then besides the acting? Or is it?
Well, I mentioned it before a little bit. I do a bit of teaching at after school stuff, drama club.
All right.
So they're only up to 11. To 11, these kids.
Right. I get it.
So I do a bit of teaching with the kids, and which I love, which keeps me young, me young at heart. And I'd clown around with them a lot, and have a real giggle with them, do a bit of clowning, banging into doors, and a bit of slapstick and a bit of silly word play. And there's nothing, it's a real privilege to work with kids and bring them out of themselves and give them confidence. It's a real joy. And to have a load of kids laughing like drains on the floor and having fun. And as I said, it keeps me young at heart. And
so you're nothing.
It's not a soul destroying sort of job, it's not. It's not like, I'm, like in I couldn't do something like be in a call center all day, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Myself, it's just not me. It would just kill me. But I know people have to do that, and actors do that, and that's great. You know, we all have to get by and do what we have to do. But
yeah.
I'm lucky that I can work with these kids, and I'm also setting up a literary agency with a very good friend of mine to translate Turkish books, believe it or not.
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't speak Turkish, but she does.
Right.
And I can help her with the English and stuff because it's been translated into. So that's very promising. And like I said, I did a little play a couple of weeks ago at a Fringe Theatre in Islington in London, and I'll just keep going. You know, that's what actors do. They don't retire; they just die.
Yeah. So when you are working with the kids, you're nothing like Mr. Scott then.
No. I can just about handle them. It's the older ones that can't handle, you know.
No, I work in education myself. I'm a teaching assistant, and in a primary school, and I've been Mr. Scott because I worked in a secondary school for about 6 weeks. And when they said to me, "There's no funding for your job anymore," I was like, "That doesn't matter. That's fine. not a problem."
It's okay with these kids because I'm in and out. It's just an hour class. I'm not there all day. You know, that's good. I can just get in, get out, and it's fine. Yeah.
And do you do a production with them at the end, or is it just?
I don't actually. I have done productions. I mean, I did used to co-run a children's theatre company with my ex-wife. She started it, and I helped her run it. And we used to put on 3-day events in the summer and put on shows at the end of term, and that was great fun. But I have such a short time with them, with these little ones. But, the school where they do fantastic shows there already. End of term shows. So it's no point me duplicating it. I just do more improvisational based stuff.
Right, I get you. Yeah.
And so it's not towards a show because we'd spend all the time rehearsing, and you can't rehearse with them all at the same time. So it wouldn't quite work in my sort of time frame.
Right, I get you. Yeah, cool. So this is a question I ask, and probably already know the answer to this one. But are you still in touch with any of the cast from when you were, or do you keep in touch, or do you ever sort of bump into them, or have you worked with any of them since?
No, I haven't actually worked with any of them, sadly. I'd love to have done. I think there's a couple of I bumped into. They had one of these sort of not a reunion thing or a charity thing or something that this lady did, who was in the show. It was in Elstree, actually.
Oh yeah, it was the 40th. Was it the 40th anniversary? Was it with was it Linda?
Yes,
Linda. Yeah.
That's it. So I met a few of them there, and it was lovely to see Fleur again.
Yeah.
And Fiona.
Yeah.
And I think I met them there. So that was nice. I think I've chatted a couple of times on Facebook with a couple. I had a chat with George. Me and George have sort of kept in touch on Facebook. And I actually had a chat with him a few weeks ago, and he's a lovely lad. So nice to talk to him.
Cool. Yeah, okay.
That's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it was a different dynamic for you because a lot of the kids grew up together, you know. Sure. So on the show, like, and I suppose it was probably very different for you going in as an adult and working with the adults as well. So, you know, that's completely understandable there. So I just got a few more just before we finish the chat.
Mate, go ahead.
The chat, Aaron. So, other than Mr. Scott, which other character did you like on the show, or if you had the chance to play another character, maybe one of the other teachers, who would it have been?
Oh, one of the other teachers. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, tell you the truth, Neil.
Right, okay.
Sorry, I'm a bit boring now. I can't think of it. Maybe one of the kids. Maybe George would have been fun playing George, I think.
Yeah, because
Ziggy.
he was involved in all kinds, Ziggy, wasn't he? He was he was
That would have been
all over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And then because you went to the 40th anniversary, you were present at that. So my last question is, why do you think there is still such affection for Grange Hill? Why do you think people are still talking about it?
It's interesting this, because they mentioned music the other day, and they were talking about what songs in one's life are the most important songs and the ones that you remember the most.
Uh-huh.
And they said that you always remember the sort of songs from a particular time in your life, and it's like from I don't know, 11 to 15 or 16 or something like that. That's when these songs sort of imprint themselves on you and you're most fond of. So there might be something to it like that you remember your childhood as a very fun time.
Yeah.
And you remember watching these things, and maybe you sort of have they're important to you because the stories in Grange Hill maybe mirrored your own sort of life, and you're sort of you're nostalgic for that time perhaps as well, like you are with old songs. Maybe I don't know. And, I don't know, and I think I think it was a good show, and I think the kids who watched it felt they had they sort of owned it a bit. Do you know what I mean? They felt they owned it a bit. So that's all I can think of really.
Yeah,
but I think it was a good show. It was well written, didn't patronize the kids. And it's a shame they haven't got something like that now, really. But I don't know if they could make anything like that now. It would all be, I don't know, maybe a lot more.
It would be very different, wouldn't it?
It would.
Certainly that scene with Mr. Scott and Trevor Cleaver. I don't think it'd get past.
Yeah.
And secondly, every single kid in the classroom would have been recording that on their mobile phone.
That's true.
Because that's the other thing that's the other thing about that scene is it's never mentioned again. The kids don't mention it, and Mr. Scott kept his job as well.
He would have, he'd have been out on his ear, wouldn't he?
Yeah, there'd be no chance there.
No.
Yeah. Well, so listen, Aran, thank you so much for coming on and giving us the view from the staff room, if you like, rather than the view from the playground. It's
been a pleasure, Neil. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
No, not at all, and thank you for coming on. It's been really good. And for those of you listening, I'll speak to you next time.